I wasn't born blind. I was 10 when I lost my sight, but I couldn't tell you why. I just woke up one day and suddenly I couldn't see anymore. However, I can say with confidence that I'm not just blind, but also that my eyeballs are completely missing. I think someone stole them while I was sleeping, but my parents don't believe me. What's worse is that they keep telling me I've never had eyes, so there was nothing to steal. Since no one would help me, I was forced to drop the issue. I'm 12 now and I still can't see. It's fine, I've gotten used to the constant presence of darkness, but I'd be lying if I said it's not difficult. Bumping into things a countless number of times, getting lost at school, and just unable to see the beauty of the world are a few examples. Not to mention, I've started to forget what things look like. I can't possibly describe how I or my parents look now. At least I don't have to worry about my appearance the way I've heard some other people do. I'm also constantly on edge since I can't see any potential danger. Despite this, I've been given a seeing eye dog that I've named Bones, which people have told me is a golden retriever. It might seem obvious why I named my dog Bones, but the actual reason is because she's so skinny that I can feel her spine and ribs. Of course, I feed her more than what a normal dog would eat, but she never seems to gain weight. I'm worried, but my parents keep insisting that she's fine. She also kind of smells, no matter how many times I try to bathe her. If anything, the smell seems to get worse after a bath. It's a smell I've never encountered before, and it's difficult to describe other than it's very bad. Nevertheless, Bones is a very good seeing eye dog, and she always protects me and helps me get around. Like now, as I maneuver around the house to get ready for school, Bones is by my side to make sure I don't fall down the stairs. I always throw on a casual dress and tie my hair into pigtails when I get ready, and today's no different. As I make sure I have everything I need, I'm comforted by the sounds of my parents downstairs. At least my hearing hasn't failed me. I grab my backpack with all my school supplies and carefully tread downstairs, probably forgetting something. When I reach the bottom, Bones helps guide me into the kitchen, though I've memorized the path by now. The kitchen has a cool temperature and I can smell the breakfast my mother has made wafting throughout the room. I feel around until I find a seat at the dining table and sit down, listening as someone puts down a plate in front of me. "Eat quickly," my mother's voice says. "You'll have to leave soon to get to school on time." I nod, not sure if she actually saw the action, and eat as fast as I can without choking. Since dogs aren't allowed on the school bus, I have to walk to school, meaning I have to leave early on time. I don't mind though, since riding the bus is a nightmare. As I eat, I can't help but ponder over the way my mother's voice has changed. It sounded different ever since I lost my eyes, but only slightly. It's a bit raspier than I remember, and a bit hoarse, but I always get the feeling that I shouldn't mention it. My dad, too, seems to sound different from what I remember. Not that he talks much anymore. He's spoken a lot less since I lost my eyes, and his voice sounds gruff. Just another thing I've learned to ignore since going blind. Suddenly, I wince as I bite into something hard and slightly sharp. From the taste, I know I've been eating pancakes, so I have no idea what I could have just bitten into. It doesn't taste like anything. It just feels hard. So I spit it out and try to eat the rest of my food. This isn't the first time I've bitten into something I know didn't belong in my food, but my mom always ignores me when I ask what it is. Something else I've noticed is the slightly sweeter taste to everything my mother cooks, and the fact that she's been cooking a lot more meat. I don't question it, seeing as how nothing bad has happened as a result, but it still feels strange. I don't dwell on it, knowing I should be leaving, and thank my mother for the breakfast before letting Bones guide me out of the house. I slightly remembered the path to school, which luckily isn't far, but I don't dare go without Bones. Something about today feels strange, though. Walking to school, Bones usually pants or growls at people who get too close, but today she's been abnormally quiet. I'd think I was somehow alone if I couldn't hear her claws clacking against the sidewalk. Although strange, the sudden feeling of being watched drowns out the worry of Bones' behavior. I try to convince myself that no one could be following me since Bones would have noticed and alerted me. But the feeling of dread gets worse. I can't hear anything other than mine and Bones' footsteps, but the feeling that I'm being watched keeps getting stronger. It's as though whatever might be watching me is getting steadily closer. I can feel the hair on my arms raise, sending a shudder throughout my body. Have you ever been chased by something in the pitch black darkness, unable to see what's behind you, but knowing it's there? That's what this feels like. And I'm terrified. And now, I can hear something breathing behind me. It's so close. Closer than I thought. And Bones still hasn't reacted. I'm petrified, but I refuse to run and get lost because I don't know where I'm going. The breathing is getting closer, and closer, and closer. It's right behind me now. And not only can I feel its breath, but I can also smell it. It's a putrid smell, making me think of rotted teeth. I desperately try not to vomit and instead focus on what I hear. The breathing sounds raspy and hoarse, like whatever's behind me is struggling to push the air in and out of its lungs. My whole body is painfully tense as I mentally plead with Bones to do something. Go back, says a voice from what's behind me. Go back and face the truth of your reality. You've been blind for far too long. With that, the breathing disappears, and I no longer feel like something's behind me. In a panic, I turn around to run back home while dragging Bones behind me, following the path I've memorized. I barely register the sound of twigs and leaves crunching under my feet as I run, or the sudden increase of weight from my dog as I pull her along. Wasn't I just on the sidewalk? Why do I feel like I'm in the forest now? My breathing becomes erratic, and the quickening of my heartbeat begins to feel painful. My thoughts run rampant, frantically, as I feel myself step onto the stone path leading to the front door of my house. What? What's that smell? It's so awful. It's the same smell that's been coming from Bones, but stronger. What's going on? Why do I feel suddenly so horrible? Why does the smell of rot and decay seem so familiar? I can feel tears streaming down my face, but I can't remember when I started crying. Something is so horribly wrong. I've stopped in front of the door to my house with my hand on the doorknob, hesitating. I desperately don't want to open the door, but I don't know why. It's as though I'm afraid of what's on the other side, but it's just my house. My parents probably haven't even left for work yet. Still, I have to steel my nerves before bringing myself to open the door. The horrible smell of rot and decay gets so much stronger. It's a miracle I don't vomit. I walk into the house, my feet squelching onto something wet upon the carpet. I can hear the buzzing of what seems to be 1,000 flies and who knows what else, simultaneously ignoring the sensation of the tiny creatures on my flesh. The air is hot and stuffy, which I'm sure is worsening the sickening odor, and I can barely breathe. I feel lightheaded, as though I'm about to faint, and suddenly, my head feels like it's about to explode. The pain is excruciating, so intense, I briefly wonder if I'm dying. And then, all at once, the memories of that night come back in a grotesque slideshow of horror. I remember everything. I remember being 10 years old and waiting for my parents to go to sleep. I remember slowly getting out of my bed, walking towards my bedroom door in the pitch black of night. I remember walking calmly down the carpeted stairs, my head feeling heavy. I remember walking into the kitchen, my bare feet meeting the chill of the tile, and grasping the handle of the largest knife. I remember going into my parents' bedroom, quietly, so as to not wake them up. I remember raising the knife above my head, and then plunging it down 1, 2, 3 times. I remember the screams, the awful screams, haunting sounds of pain and confusion, betrayal. I remember my golden retriever, Rosie, coming into the room with the intention of protecting my parents. I remember the cries and whimpers as I raised and plunged the knife again and again and again. I remember the sudden and deafening silence. I remember the blood, so much blood, all over my hands, sticky and hot. I remember never getting caught, and no one coming to investigate, because we moved deep into the forest without telling anyone. I remember convincing myself that nothing happened, pretending for 2 years that the steadily rotting corpses were still living beings. I remember eating small bits of their flesh and pretending it was food my mother had made. I remember sitting in the forest with the corpse of my dog and pretending I was at school. But most of all, I remember tearing out my eyes so I wouldn't have to see the hell I created.